You know, if I wanted to demonstrate the dire state of conservatism today, I would probably need to only point to this one fact. There's a woman who calls herself a conservative porn star, and she has legions of quote-unquote conservative fans, including prominent conservatives in media. Brandi Love is her name. She's 48 years old, somehow making the whole thing even more embarrassing and pathetic. And along with posting hardcore porn online, including on Twitter, where users as young as 13 can easily access it, she's also fashioned herself as a champion of the conservative cause, in which role she has authored a few editorials that have been published by The Federalist. I don't know, I'm not aware of any other conservative activism she's done, but there's that. Now, I was unaware of this person's existence, blissfully so, I might add, until this past weekend when controversy was ignited by Brandi Love's attendance at Turning Point USA's Student Action Summit. TPUSA, that's Charlie Kirk's organization, and this is their conference that they do every year for students. That's why they call it the Student Action Summit, right there in the name. Now, Love, real name Tracy Livermore, initially showed up at the conference for conservative high school and college students with a VIP badge. The impression that this gave, of course, and the way it was reported on social media and by some outlets like Newsweek, is that she was specifically invited or welcomed by TPUSA, and that's why she had the VIP badge. Now, that wasn't the case. She purchased the VIP ticket, showed up on her own accord, and began posting to her Twitter page. In between photos of her genitals and so forth, there were also pictures of her walking around the event, posing in front of Fox News banners, and expressing her enjoyment at being around so many, quote, young conservatives. TPUSA, however, did not enjoy having her as much as she enjoyed being there. Once the event organizers realized who she was and what she did and why she was there, they kindly asked her to leave. And this is how they explained that decision to Newsweek. This is what they said. Quote, Turning Point USA, this is according to the TPUSA spokesman. Turning Point USA did not block Miss Love from its student event because of backlash. TPUSA did so in keeping with its standard operating procedures to not involve porn brands, influencers, or personalities that post or publish sexually explicit and pornographic content. A few concerned parents rightly alerted us to the extremely pornographic nature of her social media posts, and event leadership immediately took the appropriate steps in keeping with the best interests of the minors present at the event. Furthermore, Miss Love purchased an adult VIP ticket. She was not invited, nor was her attendance somehow requested by the organization. The bottom line is that it is simply not appropriate for a porn star to be actively posting images at an event with 15 and 16-year-olds present in conjunction with graphic pornography. TPUSA makes no apology for this, a position which should not be controversial, especially when minors are involved. Parents deserve this type of assurance, and TPUSA intends on giving them that confidence. Any controversy is purely contrived. All right, that's the whole statement. Everything that you just heard there could not possibly be more reasonable. They're holding an event for conservative teenagers. They don't wish to welcome a VIP guest who is actively in the hardcore porn business and who will post images of herself at the event alongside images of her vagina. They also don't wish to become a forum for a cyber prostitute, which is what a porn star is, to directly promote her business to minors or to anyone else at their event. This is, again, a conservative conference for students. Tracy Livermore put them in an uncomfortable position by choosing to show up without any warning, without asking, without checking with them first, and the embarrassment of getting kicked out on her ass is therefore her own fault. You don't even have to be anti-porn to understand the basic concept here and to recognize who the bad guy in the situation is. But many on the right have struggled to understand this. Although Livermore is clearly 100% to blame, and TPUSA did absolutely nothing wrong and conducted itself well in this case, still so many conservatives felt otherwise. The organization is being attacked today from the right for daring to make a 48-year-old hardcore porn star feel unwelcome at their event for conservative teens. Prominent conservatives have jumped on the dog pile as well. Ben Dominish, who's the co-founder of The Federalist, he's also husband of Meghan McCain, he tweeted, quote, I'm disappointed that TPUSA kicked out Brandi Love for no reason whatsoever. She's a Florida conservative businesswoman who loves America. The right has an opportunity to be the big tent party. Don't be a bunch of prudes. Businesswoman doing a lot of work in that sentence, I think. Nick Searcy, who's a conservative actor with a large following, also defended Livermore, arguing that you aren't being like Jesus if you agree with TPUSA on its decision. Apparently, Jesus thinks that 48-year-old hardcore porn stars should totally be VIP guests at conferences for teenagers. At least we should say Nick has made that assumption about Jesus Christ and is comfortable putting those words into his mouth. These arguments were echoed on social media by many on the right, including Livermore herself, where she spent the following day or two painting herself as the victim, complaining about how she was treated, quoting the Bible in her own defense, and arguing that conservatives who oppose pornography or the attendance of a pornographer at a conservative student conference are jackasses, fools, prudes, etc. She also posted more pictures of her genitals. So in between quoting the Bible, she's posting pictures of her genitals. No problem there. Now, let's try to sort through this and inject a little bit of sanity into the proceedings if we can. And to that end, a few points I think need to be made. Number one, to reiterate, just considering the business and PR concerns here alone, it is perfectly understandable that a conservative activist group that works with minors would not want a woman with her porn star stage name on her VIP pass walking around the place, taking pictures and meeting, quote, fans. If Livermore had any respect for anyone and cared about anything or anyone but herself, she would have contacted TPUSA ahead of time, anticipating the uncomfortable position she might be putting them in, and asked them if she could attend. She didn't take this step, and the fact that she didn't only proves that she couldn't care less how her presence impacts the event or the organization that's holding it, which is just one more reason why that organization has no obligation to let her stay. Here's a basic concept. If you choose to make your living by having sex on camera and posting pictures of your genitals on social media, if that's how you choose, that's what you choose to do, you can't be offended when people don't want to be associated with you. It's not as though you were born a porn star. This isn't a genetic defect. It's not a biological identity. It's not your race or your ethnicity. No, I'm being discriminated against. No, people are reacting to your choices, sweetheart. You also aren't a desperate, poor, sex-trafficked 18-year-old. You're a 48-year-old woman who has chosen to make a lot of money this way, doing very well for yourself. You may say you have the right to prostitute yourself online for money, and you do, legally, according to our laws at the moment. But people and organizations also have the right to not want to associate with you. That doesn't make you a victim. Grow up. Number two, this all bleeds, I think, into a broader conversation about conservatism and what it stands for, or doesn't stand for. And as this incident demonstrates, though we knew this already, there are some conservatives, many, I think, who think that conservatism should embrace and defend the normalization of hardcore pornography. To a lot of conservatives today, not only should you defend hardcore pornography, but it's like absurd if you don't. It's ridiculous not to. You're just a prude. In fact, if you don't think that a hardcore porn star should be at an event for conservative 16-year-olds, you're a prude, according to conservatives. They don't think that being conservative should necessarily mean that we have to be critics of the porn industry or even of a porn star showing up at an event like this. Of course, 40 years ago, this would not have been a discussion. You wouldn't have been able to find any self-proclaimed conservative anywhere who would defend hardcore porn in principle as a thing fully in keeping with conservative values, as just a legitimate form of business, that's all. Now, many conservatives will do just that because the left has shifted the whole culture in its direction so thoroughly and dramatically that conservatives will adopt radically leftist positions while imagining that they're opposing the left in the process. You might compare it, I guess, to the situation encountered by early Arctic explorers attempting to reach the North Pole. They would walk for miles, imagining that they're going north, but the ice beneath them was drifting south. So they were going one way while the ground they stood on went the other. Well, in our culture, the ground we stand on drifts ever left, which means that if your version of being right-wing is simply to be slightly to the right of what qualifies right now as left-wing, then you will, at best, be the right wing of the left wing, which is what a lot of the people on the right really are. They are the right wing of America's left wing. That's why you got to be philosophically and ideologically grounded in something deeper. If your grounding doesn't go any deeper than the ice you're standing on, then when that whole chunk is shifting, you're shifting along with it, along with the cultural tide. All of the conservatives who imagine that they're conserving something while embracing what would have been considered radical by the left 20 years ago are evidence of this problem. Here's the point. The normalization of sexual degeneracy is a leftist position. And in fact, I'll amend that a little bit. It's not only a leftist position. It is, in fact, the principal leftist position. It's the main thing that they're trying to do. It's the primary thing that animates them, is the normalization of sexual degeneracy. You cannot fight leftists while embracing their primary foundational doctrine. You're agreeing with them on the thing that they consider to be the most important thing, which is the normalization of sexual degeneracy. And the idea that, sexually you should be able to do whatever you want and live however you want. And not only should you be able to, but it should be celebrated and accepted by everyone. You cannot fight the left. You can't really stand for anything, least of all freedom or whatever you think you're standing for, if you've abandoned moral truth. If conservatism seeks to conserve anything, that's what it has to conserve, right? First and foremost, truth of all kinds, moral truth included, and biological truth, we should note. But when you look at what's happened in conservatism, even just over the last couple of months, we've had self-proclaimed conservatives embracing Caitlyn Jenner, and self-proclaimed conservatives, a lot of them the same ones, now saying, oh yeah, have hardcore porn stars at the conservative events. Let's prove how cool we are. A total abandonment of moral truth and biological truth, of truth of all kinds. And then where are you left? What do you think you're doing exactly? What's the next step here? Okay, the goal is let's defeat the left. Step 1, abandon moral truth. Step 2, abandon biological truth. And then what? Victory? Okay, then we got step 3, question marks. Step 4, victory. What goes in step 3 there? You've joined them. You've given them everything. You imbecile. You've given them everything they want. And you'll oppose them now because, we've given them everything that matters. We've given them truth. We've given them morality. We've adopted their fundamental outlook on life. But we believe in lower taxes. What I would like for someone to do is explain. Break it down for me. What exactly are you conserving? What are you trying to conserve? If not truth, first and foremost. And if you can't come up with an answer to that, then I would suggest that you and I are not even on the same side. Well, I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Matt Walsh Show. If you did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right down there so you can stay up to date on all of our future content.